Okay, well, it's going to start with me. I'm Randy Kingsbury, and I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at Helical Products. And I'm going to start with just giving you a little bit of background about the company, and then Dan is going to get into the meat and potatoes about this whole Kaizen event. And a little bit of background. Helical Products is a manufacturing company down here, as you said, Eric, in Santa Maria, where we manufacture flexible shaft couplings, which are used to connect two shafts that are transmitting torque. And we do a product called machined springs, which most people know wire-wound springs, but ours are actually machined. And one thing these products have in common is we use a proprietary process to take a solid piece of material and generate coils into the bar stock. And we call that a flexure. Once we generate that coil, it's called a flexure. And it's a very unique product. We're the people that actually invented the technology to be able to do this. So with that, let's see, Eric, could you, okay, hold on one second. Let me advance the slide, I think. So one thing, there's a lot of background that goes with this and this whole event. For one, Helical was founded back in 1958, so we've celebrated over 55 years of being in business, and right now we're celebrating 40 years here on the Central Coast, and we employ about 120 people, which there is good and bad in this. The positive is we've been in business for so long and we're growing and thriving, but at the same time we're also a family-owned business, which in many ways, because we've been doing the same things in similar ways for so many years, a lot of people kind of become stuck in doing things the same old way, and we're not always quick to react or change to new ideas. So embracing the lean philosophy has offered up some challenges. It has taken some internal selling efforts within Helical Products. Luckily, we have some good advocates, and the one thing about this report out is it has brought about some very positive changes. It's been a positive event overall, and Dan's going to get into that more in just a few moments. But yeah, we're really glad we were chosen and able to participate in this. A little bit about what our market looks like, and this will make more sense once Dan gets into his slides about our current state. But we have a very large mix of designs, and we're servicing about 2,500 different customers around the world each year. So because of the thousands and thousands of applications we're involved in that are so varied, we receive a lot of orders every day. We've got a staff of several people that are just constantly there to answer the phones and quotes and that type of thing. So the idea of this whole event, looking at that, are receiving the orders and the flow through production control, when you've got 30 plus orders every day for parts that are actually manufactured, being lean is a really critical aspect of that. So when Dan shows you our current state, you'll see that we certainly had a lot of room for improvement once we started laying it all out. It became quite obvious because, as you can see, our products go anywhere from a basic, what some people think is a basic Toro mower, up into race cars, and we're pretty proud on having 3 different parts on the newest Mars rover, the Curiosity. So it was a good event, and what I'll do is I'm going to turn it over to Dan, and he's going to get into the real nuts and bolts of this event.
All right, thank you, Randy, and good afternoon, all. Let me click to the first slide. The whole idea with this project started from a lean manufacturing class that we were taking at Allen Hancock College, and the class was primarily occupied by Helical and specialty silicone fabricator employees. The Kaizen event started off, the idea was to evaluate our sales order entry process, and so the title is order entry. Some background, we have what we consider a long lead time with the whole process. We want to be able to provide our customer what they want and kind of boost customer confidence. The current situation is we have about 7 people who are in the process. The process currently takes about 48 hours. 8+ hours of that is queue. There's about 150 to 200 work orders at any one time throughout the planning process. And just some basic stats with the process. We average approximately 30 sales orders per day, which about 56 sales order lines, and kind of equates to about 43 work orders per day. Some of our goals that we established were same day order entry as opposed to 48 hours. We also want to get through with the work order creation process and get that approved for the day. Some of the things that we used to analyze this process to help point out our issues was some international distributor purchase orders. Those consisted of about 5 to 10 lines, and basically started from an email which the customer would submit, and the end of the process would be when we had the approved work order put into the slot. Some of the observations that we had during the event. One thing I need to preface that this event was really condensed. It was 3 sessions, 3 hours apiece, with totaling 9 hours. So we really rushed through this, and I thought even with that, I thought we did a pretty good job. But some of the observations that we pointed out were there was a lot of back and forth. There was multiple verification steps for airproofing, re-entry of information during stock check, batching. We identified that there's 2 discrete processes within the process, and the same process steps were only being done once per day. We also analyzed through some other tools, such as a spaghetti diagram, which helped point out we had 184 feet through this process that was used, and down in the right-hand corner it shows that it equates to roughly 9 miles a year used just for this whole process. Also, there was we worked on queue time per basket. We identified some duplicate checks, and some other things we analyzed with documents such as the customer email, work orders, the purchase orders, and from the customer, and the sales orders created from those purchase orders. Some other things we used as well is swim lanes to help break down those discrete processes. Currently, there's some color coding that's being used to help differentiate specific information. We used a gimbal walk, and another thing that was analyzed but we didn't get into enough, which was really one of the keys at the end of this thing, is the MRP capability. This slide here, obviously you can't read the detail on it, but what it does, it shows the amount of steps in the process through this flow chart. This next one identifies all the moves, and right now in the current process there's 9 different moves. There's 8 different queues, and there's 3 duplicate tasks that we really focused on. Some of the countermeasures that we identified to use as fixes possibly were multi-form. Definitely eliminated some baskets, focus time, dedicated time, and there's a bunch of other things that we identified. But towards the bottom there, the other notables, which is the MRP, we're using it for a lot of our inventories, but we were not using it for our finished goods inventory. And through the Kaizen, being it was really condensed, we didn't get an opportunity to explore the possibilities of what a true MRP could do for us. Where we want to go with this is our target state, and as you can see, it's condensed and much more simplified. We were through reorganizing it, and this is also with the use of MRP. We've reduced the moves from 9 to 5 steps. Well, let me go back. We reduced the queues from 8 queues to 4 queues, and actually what it shows there, doesn't show there, is we have the duplicate steps which were pointed out on a previous slide. We were actually able to get that to 1 through the use of MRP. Whoop, wrong way. This one shows, as we identified earlier, that there's 2 discrete processes. This shows in the green was basically the customer service process. This one identifies the process after production control gets the order and they process their portion of it. And then it goes into scheduling. And so some of the things that we learned were some of the obvious things, learning to see with an eye for improvement, breaking down a process step by step, removing the waste and building with value-added steps, the sequential steps that make up a Kaizen, as well as a requirement to work as a team. So even though this was a short, condensed Kaizen, it was a really great event for us, and we thought Eric did a great job of breaking down the walls at the very beginning so we can work towards improvement. Thank you.
So Dan, thanks. This is where, like in the live session, you can kind of hear everybody clapping in the background. So I think we have some time for some questions. I'm going to try to recognize Kim. I might have to. I don't see a microphone for Kim. Let's see. She just did a hand raise. I'm looking for hand raises from anybody if they're there. But Kim, I don't see a way for me to give you the microphone.
She can type it in the chat.
Yeah. So if you have a question and you don't have your microphone working, maybe you could type into a chat. Let's see. And same thing with you, Christian. I don't know. I don't seem to have. You don't seem to have a microphone. I'm looking for a microphone icon on folks. So it might be that, maybe next time we do this sort of virtual presentation. Okay, so Christian's question, just typed it in chat. Did you involve all the people that are working in the process? Dan, this is back to you.
We didn't involve everybody in the process. As I stated earlier, it was started off as a class project, so it was done after hours, but we did have probably about half the people in the process, and we did have other people that work out in the shop that were involved in it as well, with some neutral advice as well.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. Any other questions out there? How about questions from the room in here? Anybody?
Any projected cost savings from the event?
Yeah, Dan, good question. Any projected cost savings from the event that you guys are anticipating?
We didn't get to the extent of evaluating dollar savings. I think where we're at, we know we're going to save some dollars, and I think one of the things that will benefit the most is our Achilles heel is our long lead times for manufacturing our products. So if we can reduce our sales order entry process from 48 hours down to 4 hours, we've obviously given ourselves more time out on the shop floor.
Did they hit their goals? Did they get it down to a one-day time and then have the people involved in the process? Are they bought into it as well?
So the question from Chester, did you hit your goal and get it down to the 4 days or the 4 hours, and have the people sort of bought into the process also?
One of the things we didn't get time to explore enough into was the use of the MRP. Once our Kaizen event ended, I mean, the brainstorming continued and got even more in depth. We're in the process of fine-tuning. That's where the target state comes in. We're kind of slowly working in because we do, as Randy pointed out earlier, we do have kind of a culture that we have to reprogram. So I'd say we're on our way, and I would say we should have our target state fully implemented within the next month.
All right, thanks. So I've got another question in chat here from Bob. Has this event spawned any other areas to improve? Good question.
Actually, through our lean manufacturing class, which Bob is one of our instructors, along with Leroy, and it was a great class. Our final project was an A3 report for a variety of different tasks, a variety of different processes here at Helical. And one of the A3s that we chose to start a Kaizen was our purchase order process. And so that actually is getting ready. That's going to be getting underway the first part of July. So we're excited about that as well.
All right. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Randy. It's an excellent presentation.